Welcome, lads and lasses, to Dan Ventures Out. Today we're here at the Prospect Reservoir, checking out the catchment here, checking out the filtration plant as well, and the recreation areas and facilities of the area here. Join me for this amazing adventure into the history of Australia's water supply. And just a sneaky reminder to like, comment and subscribe to Dan Ventures Out to see more from me. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. Wow, Prospect Reservoir and Cycleway track are closed since COVID apparently. I've seen plenty of uploaded images since then though. Gonna have to find another way around. Crikey. Had to go all the way around. But we now made it to one of the valve houses. Building here. Nice and rustic. Got a little bit of information here as well. Simply the lower valve house this is. Like that. Looks like you might be able to get in it at some points. See if we can't see inside this little building here. This looks like a little museum actually. It's pretty nice. Anyway, on to the next spot. Here we are, the Prospect Reservoir. That out there is another valve house, though we can get a little closer on the other side. But what I wanted to go along was this, the dam wall. Clearly it is closed. So it's saying here that there's been an upgrade to safety monitoring along here. So it is what it is. Maximum penalty exceeds $40,000. That is a real shame. That was the whole reason I came here, was to walk along the dam wall here. Now the whole wall here is actually 2.2 kilometers long. I thought that was going to make a beautiful walk and an excellent opportunity to talk about the history of the reservoir here and how it all relates into the water supply for Sydney. I think we'll have to ever so slightly change our game plan here today. We will still get everything done. There's actually a lot of nice area out this way. They put palm trees lining the pathways, nice lot of grassy areas on both sides of us. And then of course here we have the valve house. This one is out in the middle of the water, just over there. Awesome. It is also closed. Only authorized personnel are allowed to go in here. That's kind of expected though. Just near the valve house, out near the water here, we have some historical engineering markers. Pretty cool. Some information here. It talks about its completion in 1888, which is when this earth embankment dam was completed. It's also the largest one of its kind in Australia at the time and averages 26 meters tall. It's actually really short. Another cool part of the reservoir here at Prospect is that it was all designed along with the Upper Nepean scheme, which is slightly different to the Upper Nepean water supply scheme we talked about in previous videos, which were all constructed much later than the reservoir here. The Upper Nepean scheme started construction in 1880 and finished the same time in 1888. and consisted only of 2 weirs. One at Broughton's Pass, don't quote me on pronunciation of that, and one at Pheasant's Nest. And these 2 weirs were the first across the Upper Nepean catchment area and diverted water from that area into about 65 kilometers worth of aqueducts, canals and other weirs, making their way to the Prospect Reservoir where the dam had just finished construction. Prospect Reservoir here is also the largest reservoir in Sydney, and it collects water, or gets water diverted to it, not only from the Upper Nepean dams, also from Warragamba Dam and Shoalhaven scheme, and all of them serve to supply water to the Sydney metropolis. I like that word, metropolis. Another part of Warragamba Dam's importance, after the construction was finished in 1960, in 1966 a pipeline between Warragamba Dam and the Prospect Reservoir was created, which allowed them to send water here to the filtration plant, which I believe finished construction in 1996 and is now the biggest filtration plant in Australia. So as I touched on earlier, the dam wall here is referred to as a zoned earth embankment dam. A mouthful to say the least. Basically that means there's different materials in the center to the outside. This is used to make a more stable wall. So the reservoir is located 34 kilometers west of Sydney here and has a capacity total of 50 gigalitres, which if you compare to Warragamba Dam sitting at 2,000 gigalitres, it is actually quite small. The reservoir here actually supplies 85% of the drinking water to Sydney, and it's because of the filtration plant here. And all the water from Warragamba Dam and the Upper Nepean dams goes directly to the filtration plant here and is filtered here on site at the reservoir, and then is sent directly from the filtration plant to houses for drinking. Well, that was cool to see here. Now we're going to go up to the George Maunder lookout and check that out too before going to the filtration plant. Right, this is a nice lot of tables and chairs out here. You've got bins and bathrooms by the look of that. Tables and chairs, bins, bathrooms here. Oh, they almost look locked. Well, these dunnies are padlocked. Interesting that they're locked on a Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh well, guess we'll go up to the other side of the park here. Wow, look at this old picnic area here. No longer in use. That's an old one. Looks pretty good. Don't you reckon, Mum?
Jeez, it does look lovely.
Oh, not bad.
Surprising.
Let's show them. There we go. It's actually quite high up. It does have a big catchment area, but these trees are kind of in the way. Oh yes, there is your reservoir. Not too bad. Got ourselves an interesting looking berry here. Incredible spikes on this plant though. Don't know what that is. Oh, more tables and chairs here, quite nice. I'll note though, guys, these tables and chairs are exactly the same as the other dams. You've got the brown seats and the green tables. Slightly different style, but practically the same. What on earth are those? That and that. Interesting. Reminds me of a termite's nest, but it's up in the tree and obviously it's black. I'm not sure what that is. I'll just come off the beaten path a tiny bit here and come across something rather interesting. This must be the quarry for the dam wall. You can see the walls on the side to the left and across here as well. Obviously now it's been industrialized, you've got heaps of warehouses here. But that is pretty cool. You can see just how much stone and dirt would have been taken from this quarry, shifted over to the dam wall used to make this 26-meter high dam. Tiny dam, but ridiculously long. Pretty cool. Well, we've checked out the lookout. Let's see if we can't get to that filtration plant. So from up here, it does look like the road there's fenced off. We'll have to see. Checking out the low level of the lookout here now. Apparently there's two levels. You've got the upper, which is probably just up there, about 20 odd meters. Got another lookout here. Hoping for a spot with a few less trees in the way to do my intro. Well, there you go. You've got a little bit of information about the Maunda lookout here. The vantage point was developed in recognition of the service rendered by G.E. Maunda, who had been a member of the board for 31 years. And it was opened in 1964. Got a nice view. I really want a spot without trees, but we have all the tree shrubs on this side, but we do have a decent-ish view from here. See how we go. Well, that was a nice view. Might be a little nicer than the top view, I think, too. And you've also got plenty of picnic tables along here as well. There were bin facilities. Unfortunately, the toilets here are also locked. A little odd. This park area and play area has a lot of things. There you go. Lots of park areas there, lots of benches. You can smell people with a cold barbecue. Lovely. We also have some sketchy looking dunnies. But I need to go, so we're going to try it out. Definitely a bit sketchy. The wasps' hives in the corners of the stalls there. But they did have paper towel, which was a nice touch. So good on them. Alright, we're parked up. We're going to try and walk to the filtration plant. The gate on the side's open with a little walking track, so let's go. Alright, here we go. See, this part of the gate's open, so I think we're fine to go through here. There's a few bikers coming down too. I feel safe. Well, here we can see the dam wall, or the reservoir wall. Remember how high it is? Did you pay attention earlier? I told you already. We got a room on the trail and one over there. Here it goes. You can't jump over a fence that tall, mate. Even I know that. Yep, go past. Go past. Just don't come attack us or nothing. Well, I've been walking out here for about 20 minutes. We've come to the other side of the dam wall here. Looks like they're building some equipment just out there. Anyway, that's our 2.2 Ks. Now we've got a little bit further to get to the filtration plant, but we may also see the spillway and Prospect Creek. So we're here on the bridge, and it looks like this is a spillway of some description. Very old though. I'll have a quick look here to see if this is part of the creek. I think this is where the creek joined. Yeah, I'll have a look here quickly. Okay, so this definitely is the spillway for the Prospect Reservoir. Not only that though, if you follow the creek down this direction, which is the low side of the dam, goes to the Prospect Creek, goes for several kilometers, and eventually it joins up to Darawal Bay, which is part of the Chipping Norton Reserve we visited a few months ago, which also joins onto the Georges River. So all the waterways in Sydney, basically, from Warragamba Dam, from the Upper Nepean water supply scheme, they all join to here, and the Prospect Reservoir joins onto the Prospect Creek, which eventually joins all the way to the Georges River, which we have featured many times on the channel here. It's pretty cool how connected it is, really, and how they've used weirs, dams and other waterways to control all the water in Sydney. Absolutely fascinating. Should be getting close to the plant here, I believe. Should be only a couple hundred meters and we're going to see the plant. Prospect Water Filtration Plant. Nice. Alright, we have the water filtration plant here. So just in there, we've got the filtration plant there. Big gates are here. Out through there we have the Prospect Reservoir, and this through here is the water filtration plant. I'm sure you can also hear, we're very close to Sydney Motorsport Park. They've got the cars out racing today. You can hear them. It's actually not even a few kilometers from the Prospect Reservoir to Sydney Dragway. So the water filtration plant here was completed in 1996 and commissioned to filter water from Warragamba Dam and the Upper Nepean water supply. It came directly to the filtration plant, bypassing the reservoir that they had previously built here at Prospect, and process the raw water, filter it, and sends it directly to homes from the plant rather than going through the reservoir itself. The water plant here is one of the largest in the world, and since it started getting used, the reservoir here became more of a holding area for water rather than a place to draw water from. In the case of a water supply problem or quality issue with one of the dams, they can still take water from the reservoir here. It's also interesting to note that since that change, water is only drawn out of the reservoir on average 5 times every 5 years. So barely any, but it's there in case of any problems with our water supply. Here we get an even better view of the water filtration plant and the reservoir just out there as well. It's all pretty cool. Well, just here we can see one of the tanks holding water. I imagine it's for the filtration. Technically not certain what this particular tank's used for, but it's pretty cool to know that all the water, or rather 75% of the water that we drink in Sydney, comes from this filtration plant rather than directly from Warragamba or from the Upper Nepean dams. Most of the water comes here to be treated. Got another good view here. Awesome. Oh wow. That is too funny. We have done a huge loop. So behind me you can see the water filtration plant. And right in front of me is the gate where we got stuck at this morning. There it is. So this would have been a better access gate for us, but it was closed, so we couldn't get in this way. I know the tracks around here are heavily used by bicycles. It is a huge bicycle trail between Horsley Park and the Prospect Reservoir trails as well, which is all pretty cool. Well, that's about it for the filtration plant, I think. Now we've got our walk back to picnic areas. Some massive pipes here coming down from the water filtration plant. For reference, these pipes are well taller than me. They're just quite far away and fenced off. Whew, not a bad walk. Let's get into that review. Wow, not too bad an area out here at Prospect. A decent amount of facilities, a decent amount of picnic areas, bin facilities, but lots and lots of closed areas out here. That's a huge downfall. It was cool we got to get to the filtration plant though. At least you can walk there. But all in all, facilities a little bit lacking than the standard we've been seeing around here lately. Probably a little less off than the dams, probably a little less off than the other reserves we've seen too, but quite close to like the heart of Sydney's west, which is nice to see. It's nowhere near as far out as Warragamba Dam, for example, in terms of being west, and much closer to the city than your Upper Nepean dams as well. So that's a bit of a plus. For me, the coolest thing is how the intricate water supply system all relates to this reservoir. I didn't really realize how important this reservoir and the filtration plant were to Sydney's water supply. I had always thought it was Warragamba Dam and that's it, it's done there. Collected there, filtered there, sent from there to our houses, basically. But it appears that's not the case, which is pretty interesting. Don't really know why they go through the effort of sending it to a separate location from Warragamba Dam, for example, or from the Upper Nepean dams. Why does it get sent this far? One other thing I should mention is how many tables, chairs, and grassed areas there are here. There's actually quite a few, even though the facilities are a little bit lacking. Plenty of tables and chairs. You can see them all around. I can see easily 50, closer to 100 in total, including up near the lookout. It's just strange that some of the bathrooms are locked and that some of the areas are closed off. It is a bit of a shame. Would have been cool to see them up close and, you know, see the water filtration plant a bit easier rather than having to go do the big loop and walk to it. Anyway guys, thanks so much for joining me on this adventure. Please like, comment and subscribe to Dan Ventures Out to see more from me, and we'll catch you guys the next time we venture out.